We're back, and thanks for joining us as we sit down with the candidates in the 22nd Congressional District race. We just heard from the incumbent, Anthony Brindisi, and now former Congresswoman Claudia Tenney joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Getting through our same questions that we asked your opponent. U.S. government posting a record deficit of $3.1 trillion. Millions of Americans are out of work, including some of our neighbors here in the 22nd District. If another relief package is the answer, what does it include, but also at what cost? How do you prioritize your funding in what is expected to be a difficult budget year ahead?
Yeah, it's been a really tough year, obviously, as a small business owner, watching so many of our small businesses, some of them close and many sadly closing for good. We're seeing the devastation across our communities from this terrible crisis. But as a fiscal conservative, I'd like to see us cut our deficit, but at this point, we really can't afford to. We need to get an infusion of money to our small businesses, our schools, our local governments. I don't want to see it go through Andrew Cuomo. It's something we have to do in order to bring our economy back. You know, this COVID crisis knocked down one of the best economies we've had in probably in half a century. And we want to rebuild that and bring it back. And I'm just, anything that we can do to bring it back, I'm going to support. I'm very discouraged, though, that Nancy Pelosi is not going back into session to consider some of these issues that are vital to our businesses until after the election. So she's completely politicized this process. And it's interesting that the bill she proposes and that my opponent supports actually has things that are non-COVID related, such as releasing dangerous prisoners into our communities, abolishing voter ID, which is something we need now more than ever as we go into a situation where we're going to have absentee ballots and unaccounted for ballots. It's something that's really important. Let's focus directly on COVID relief and not on a Democratic wish list, which unfortunately my opponent is supporting.
What should the federal government do to make sure police officers can do their job effectively?
Well, one of the things you can do is not to defund the police, as my opponent has voted to do. He's also voted to undermine police officers' liability. Not surprised. He's a personal injury lawyer whose mission is to profit off of other people's misfortune. And he sued a number of police officers in his practice as a lawyer. And I think we need to protect the police. And I would propose actually increasing funding to our police officers to make them safe. And that's why I've been supported by unusual situation. The New York State troopers, the New York State investigators, 187 PBAs, sheriffs across this region have supported my campaign because they know I back the blue and I will continue to have their back.
If the Affordable Care Act were to go away, does something take its place? And if so, what does that include?
Well, part of the problem with the Affordable Care Act is it's just not working, especially for the middle class. We need to provide affordable care to everyone and access to care. So what's happening to our middle class is they're spending huge amounts on premiums and deductibles that are so large that it actually prohibits people from actually being able to see their doctor. So what you actually get is an insurance card, but you don't actually get access to your doctor because you can't afford to go. My opponent's only solution is a complete government takeover of healthcare called Medicare for All. He co-sponsored the bill. He's voted for it 4 times. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, it's their premier platform. He will support it. It will destroy our small business community. It will take away choices. It prioritizes illegal immigrants to get actually health care over our senior citizens, people who have worked their entire lives to earn their Medicare and their Social Security, which are benefits. They're not entitlements. I'm getting up to that age where it really means a lot to me, but I have done everything I can working with President Trump to make sure that we protect those.
What is one top issue unrelated to the virus, unrelated to policing, that you feel is being pushed from the front burner, but it's important for voters to know about and know where you stand?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest issues right now is you're seeing just a huge infusion of cash coming into this race. I, sitting here to your viewers, have had more money spent against me than any candidate in our region's history, almost $45 million. My opponent, Anthony Brindisi, has more money spent by Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and far-left Democrats and from California to New York City than any candidate in the history of our region. So Already in just 2 cycles, he's had almost $30 million in his coffers to spend against me. And people think that somehow I, as a small business owner, a Marine mom, a single mom who cared for my parents in their final years, am somehow not interested in preserving and protecting our small business community. And that's a priority for me. And it's instrumental to know that he is actually endorsed by groups that actually back China, support open borders, and actually would hurt our small business community. And he's voting with Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi too, of course, and Kamala Harris to raise taxes by $4 trillion. I'll tell you, last night I met with a number of farmers. They are absolutely terrified of what the Biden-Harris plan could do, and Anthony Brindisi will vote for it. He will raise your taxes. It will crater our economy, and it's the worst thing you can do coming out of this COVID crisis.
Again, Republican in the 22nd Congressional District race, Claudia Tenney.